Now, there's a couple of trending stories that I think Kakra should read for us because, Kai, smuggling is becoming a big thing. And it appears to me in recent times it's gotten very serious. We have 3 straight days of news stories highlighting the effects. Let's start with the one the FABAG brought to us.
So this is reported by the High Street Journal. The headline reads, Ghana loses over 300 million Ghana cedis monthly to sugar rice smuggling. Ghana loses major revenue as widespread smuggling of sugar, rice and other goods undermines local industries, government income and economic stability. And this was published October 27, 2025 by Ni Mama Boy. And the story reads, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, has issued an urgent warning about a widespread smuggling crisis, revealing that the nation is losing an estimated 300 million cedis in revenue each month from just sugar and rice alone. This illicit trade is severely undermining local industries and depriving the government of tax revenue. Data shared by FABAG President John Awini illustrates a shift in trade patterns driven by smuggling. He stated that while Ghana now officially imports 660 containers of sugar per month, a total of 2,200 containers per month are entering through Togo. This figure represents a jump from the 2,000 containers per year that used to come through Togo, indicating an escalating problem. FABAG estimates that nationwide unmonitored smuggling activities are costing Ghana hundreds of millions in cedis every week. This revenue drain threatens economic stability, diminishes investor confidence, and jeopardizes jobs in the manufacturing and distribution sectors. The association describes the situation as a double tragedy. Legitimate businesses grapple with rising operational costs, heavy taxation, and complex port procedures, while smugglers operate freely, flooding the market with untaxed and often substandard goods. Essential commodities such as rice, cooking oil, sugar, alcoholic beverages, and textiles are being extensively smuggled into the country through both official and unofficial border points. This not only creates an unfair market for compliant businesses, but also starves the government of revenue needed for national development. The current smuggling crisis is not an isolated issue. It reflects a broader systemic challenge that has affected other key Ghanaian industries, notably the cocoa sector, which accounts for about 15% of the nation's GDP. In the 2023 and 2024 period, over 160,000 tons of cocoa worth approximately 1.28 billion euros were smuggled out of Ghana to neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Togo. This was largely driven by higher prices offered in neighboring countries and sometimes delayed payments to farmers within Ghana. The government has acknowledged the problem. In September 2024, the Cocoa Board created an anti-smuggling task force which, with military assistance, intercepted 1,400 bags of cocoa and made over 20 arrests. President John Mahama has also suggested new legislation to criminalize the clearing of cocoa farms for mining. International projects have aimed to help Ghana control its borders. The EU-funded Strengthening Border Security in Ghana (SBS Ghana) project, implemented in collaboration with the Ghana Immigration Service, was active until December 2024. Its goals included updating border management systems and enhancing security while respecting human rights. FABAG is calling for immediate and decisive action from government.
Okay. Let's talk to the president of FABAG, John Awuni, for more on this. Mr. Awuni, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard, and good morning to your viewers and listeners.
300 million cedis a month is a very big figure. How did you arrive at that as the effect of smuggling?
Thank you so much, Bernard, and that's a very great question. Apparently, the figure was arrived at looking at the number of containers that currently go through the Togo port and go through a Flower border into Ghana. You look at a container, how much duties you have to pay. the tax element. That is what you multiply per container by the number of containers that come into the country illicitly. So that's how the figure was arrived at. So this is just in terms of duties and the taxes. If it were to go through Tema Port, that is what approximately you would have paid. Remember, the importers they know how much container, approximately how much you pay for sugar per container. You know how much you pay for sugar, for rice per container. So this is how the mathematics is done approximately.
Now, what are the top items that are smuggled? And are we talking smuggling into the country or out of the country?
First of all, we are talking about smuggling into the country. And key commodities, let me put it in perspective that smuggling is an old phenomenon. But it tends to peak from time to time when certain dynamics change within the country. And so in the past, it used traditionally have been rice and sugar, and then some bits of cooking oil. But as demand for goods, as taxes in the country begin to go higher, import duties begin to go higher, and then demand also falls within the market frame. Then players begin to look at the fact that, well, if we can produce in Nigeria with cheaper power, if we can get goods from Nigeria and then go through Benin, through Togo, and get into the country, less the taxes, we will be more competitive than those who have produced within this country with the higher tariffs, electricity and water tariffs with the higher taxes, and then all that. So clearly, you are looking at the commodities that have now gone beyond oil. We've gone beyond rice, sugar, to cooking oil, to textiles, to, the fast-moving commodities, FMCGs. I don't want to mention, but literally, most Coca-Cola products come through that. They just undermine the legitimate businesses in the country. And you remember, Bernard, I think on one of the stations, yours also, just last week or so, the Minister of Trade also was there complaining about how cement is smuggled into the country, and then I also saw stories where cooking oil also is coming. People have complained about cooking oil. It is all over the place, basically because the conditions within the country produced locally and also the taxes are not favorable. So people just want to find ways of bringing these goods. So it is widespread, including hair products, including pomade, including everything.
So is it that the cost of production in our neighboring countries is lower, for which reason it's attractive, or is it the port duties that they avoid that makes them competitive?
They are twofold. The port duties is huge. If you were to bring in goods from Togo, and even you pay some bit of money to the custom officers at the border, and then you bring them in, you would have saved almost about 40 or so % of the taxes, because if you bring in, say, like rice or oil, your average taxes would have paid would be almost like 50-54%. So if you can avoid that, paying some bit of money to the custom officers at the borders, then you would have saved, you would be miles, about 30-40% margin ahead of those who have brought in through the Tema. So that is basically what it is. If we talk about smuggling, you are not talking about the issue people using roads that are hidden that you cannot find and all that. They use the road, the borders. They cross the borders. They go through the immigration officers, go through the custom officers. They go through all those borders and they pay them. So it is just private people that tend to make money through the smuggling people. Private government officials that make the money. Then it's just that like they hide and at the blind side of officials.
Let me try and understand something. Are FABAG members predominantly importers of the products they sell or manufacturers?
Oh, we are mixed. Like I mentioned, Coca-Cola is part of our companies, our members. They produce locally here. And so when you have French products or Nigerian products coming in, or you have the beers, the alcoholic beverages, they are members of FABAG. So we are a mixed bag. Manufacturers are there, and then the importers too are there. So it's a huge mixed bag, and the manufacturers are huge. There are many, and these are people that we for for way forward for the development of this country. We are talking about manufacturing, industrialization, and you cannot continue to talk about focus on industrialization with key commodities that are supposed to be produced in the country being undermined. You can also not talk about even increasing taxes for the common ordinary person on the street when you cannot even protect the revenue that legitimately you should have collected. And so that is, for me, Bernard, I am so much appalled sometimes when you get to understand that the bit of what is happening, we take pictures and we send even to government officials, and their action is very different. Sometimes their action is like, yes, it appears we are aware about it. It is not anything new, or they are our members, they are our party people, they are kind of stuff. So their action is like, oh, well, let it happen. So
are you saying that you officially report these smugglers to government officials and they are unwilling to act? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I wouldn't say they are unwilling to act, but I have shared. But the response will tell you that you don't see anything happening. We get pictures. It's not as if you just come out to the media and start crying, wolf, 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 wolf. No. We work in collaboration with them. And I am a nation developer. I'm an advocate for development. I'm just not attacking government policies or fighting or whatever. I'm looking for the best for the youth of this country. I'm looking for the best for the industry of this country. So when we get this intelligence, you share. You take pictures of trucks that are crossing borders. You take pictures of goods that are written in French, just literally displayed in our markets. Our country, the laws of the Food and Drugs Authority and Standards Authority demands that goods that are labeled must be labeled in English. We are an English-speaking country. So under no circumstance should we find French label products in the market. How did those goods get into the market? Where are the post-market surveillance activities of the Food and Drugs Authority and then the rest? So it is not as if it is difficult to find out the smuggled product.
You mentioned rice and sugar and cooking oil and textiles.
Cooking oil, textiles.
Do we know the source of these products and which border points are known for this type of smuggling activity?
Yes, we do. They come through. Most of them come through. Some for the rice and sugar, most of them will come through Europe because the containers, instead of going through the Tema port, will be landed at the Togo port. Some of them will through Côte d'Ivoire. And sometimes, let me make this point before I continue. The dynamics, it depends on which government is in power. If the NPP is in power, then there is a Ivorian border that becomes more active because it appears Kumasi is their stronghold. So their members will use that. If the NDC is in power, the Togo border becomes more active. And because over there too, their members are stronger. So they come through that. So
hold on. So you are saying that when NDC is in power, the Togo border appears to be the favorite route of the smugglers. When NPP is in power, the Ivorian side
Ivorian border exactly tends to be. And this is this is years that we've done. And I've gotten even certain media and even people who are in government authority involved in the time past, over 20 years series. So I've been on this. If you go through, I've been on this. So it is not something that it's something that we have studied. I've even sponsored certain investigators to go and bring the goods from Côte d'Ivoire, from Togo through the border and show us how the things come through. And it is very plain that officials are also collude and then in all this. But going back to the question that you asked, that what question?
Yes, no. So I'm saying that you're saying that there's a political cycle to this. That in MPP days, the Côte d'Ivoire border is the favorite, and in NDC times. Now let's talk about something else. So, will producing in Ghana reduce the effects of smuggling? Let me give you an example. Rice, okay? Rice farmers say nobody's buying their rice. How is it possible that somebody can bring in rice from a different country, sometimes produced in Vietnam or Thailand, and the rice will still be cheaper than the rice that is made in Ghana? I don't understand it. Are you able to explain that to me?
I can explain that, but Bernard, that is a huge topic because me and you have been on this thing for over almost 30 years. We have been on this for over 20 years. It's not today we started discussing about the rice issue or whatever. Generally, Bernard, the production cost in Ghana is very high. So when you find that recently, I have been on the fact that efficiency before tariffs. When you look at the tariff rate for production, tariff rate for light, particularly electricity, I wouldn't go to the water. The water tariff rates are relatively lower. But when you look at electricity tariff rates and you study the industrial and commercial tariff rates for Europe, for Africa, for West Africa, in the sub-region, Ghana is at the top. So you cannot have a production system where your tariff rates, industrial and commercial tariff rates, are very high. Are very high, and then you can and electricity is the foundation cost of every production system in the country. Most of the irrigation systems use power. If you go to the Wenya, go to whatever, and they use power. So our production cost literally is very high, Bernard. And then also, if you find out that economies of mass scale production. So most of these chicken that come in from Brazil and all those places, and then the rice and whatever, they come in mass scale. These are economic people, years of specialization, and give them room for economies of mass scale production per unit cost is lower. And so they come in like that. But for my state, and remember I was the president of the Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body in 2004 up to 2008. And so I'm leading and I have gone through all over. Our production system is quite rudimentary for now. We are relying mostly on labor intensive and then also rainfall. And so our production system is quite expensive now. It's quite expensive. So, and then the quality doesn't match our own. So when you look at our systems, we need a lot of improvement for our rice, not even talk about for sugar, we are not there for our rice. And so it basically boils down to the cost of production, Bernard, and then the quality. So you have the rice coming from Vietnam, coming from Thailand, coming from India. It will be very difficult for Ghana to produce competitively to India and then Vietnam and then all that.
So finally,
it's a matter of competitive advantage that they have.
Which duty bearer's job is it to clamp down on this smuggling? Is it the immigration? Is it the customs? Who do you think has the responsibility to do this?
The GRA falls under the Ministry of Finance. I have sent pictures of trucks, goods labeled in French, to the ministry. I have done that over and over, even to other government officials. I have shared those information, but we don't see anything being done. I remember yesterday somebody was telling me that, a media person called and was trying to tell me that, let's organize stakeholders and we see how the government GRA can help you people to combat smuggling. So I got angry. I said, GRA help us too. It's not as if helping FABAG people. It's helping the country and helping themselves because they are struggling to meet revenue targets. And so the custom officers are under the GRA Commissioner General. The border officials are under some of them are under Interior and some of them are under National Security. They have a mixed bag of officials that are there. So National Security, Minister of State, and the Minister of Finance. They need to work. If they really want to raise additional revenue or more revenue or to protect the public purse, they need to work on that and to also protect jobs. Because the private sector is already struggling, as I indicated in our statement. We are struggling. Demand for goods have dropped by 70%. And so if the government does not rise up to protect the borders, there's more motivation to smuggle the goods into the country and sell quickly than to go through TEMA and pay the 54% total taxes and then struggle in the market. Because most of the goods that come into the country are credit-rated goods. They are on suppliers' credit. And you will literally have 1 month to turn those stocks over to sell, to pay back your suppliers. And in the face of unstable foreign currency, you will really want to turn those goods as quick as possible. So whatever means you will do to ensure that those goods are turned over as quick as possible, you will do. So it is in the interest of government to rise up to protect the borders, the borders and protect the pest, and also ensure that the Food and Drugs Authority and then all other organizations that are mandated to do post-market surveillance to ensure sanity in our market, they will go and then do that. When you go and find out the food is labeled in French, Milo is labeled in French, Coca-Cola is labeled in French, rice is labeled in French, textiles and all that. Ask them how they got the things in. And then they will then begin to explain. So these miscreants are being emboldened because of the weakness of the government over the years.
Thank you for your time. John Awuni is the president of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana. He reveals that the issue of smuggling has gotten to unbearable proportions to the extent that FABAG, which comprises food and beverage manufacturers, are really struggling. He says, notorious among the products, rice, sugar, cooking oil. He says there appears to be a political cycle to this. When NDC is in government, the Togo border seems to be the preferred destination or the entry port. MPP time is Cote d'Ivoire. Now, what is interesting is that the Ghana Statistical Service did a survey of what they call informal trade. Okay. And I think what they found is useful for this discussion. It's called the Ghana Informal Cross-Border Trade Survey, which I think concluded that Ghana has a trade deficit, informal trade deficit with Togo, but a surplus with Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire. And it will be good to get some more details about how the study was done, what period they did the study. This October 2024 report. Okay, October 2025, but this is quarter 4 2024. Now, I find that interesting because Q4 24 will suggest that that's the previous administration being in office. So how come you have a trade deficit with Togo informally and then a trade surplus with Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire in a time where the previous government was in office? I don't know whether that makes any sense at all. But we are told that informal cross-border trade reached 7.4 billion cedis, equivalent to 4.3% of our GDP, with a trade surplus of 576 million cedis to Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire of 378, but a deficit of 539 million with Togo. Beverages, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, dominated export, while cooking oil, rice, and livestock were leading imports. The Upper East region accounted for the highest informal export activity, 15 times that of the least active savannah. And then they also break down some of the findings, and they have some priorities they want to comment on. I want to do another interview on this to put a bit more meat on the discussion. And if you are a trader or a company that manufactures, what are your own comments on this? Oscar Kwame Akaba Novihoho is the national coordinator of the National Cross-Border Women Traders Association. Oscar, thanks for joining the program. I just spoke to FABAG, who are telling us that smuggling of rice, sugar, and cooking oil and textiles into Ghana is increasing, and it's affecting manufacturers and local producers. Number two, I've just read the highlights of the Statistical Services informal cross-border trade report, and it suggests that a lot of activity seems to be happening on the Upper East and the Volta side of our borders. In fact, the Togo, we have a trade deficit with Togo, which means that more goods are coming in from Togo than we are sending there, and we have a trade surplus with Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. What's your preliminary comment from the perspective of informal women in trade? What's your comment on what we put out so far?
Yes, thank you very much, Bernard, for giving us this opportunity. First of all, National Cross-Border Women Traders Association is an organization under the ECOWAS where we have three main objectives. One, facilitate movement of the cross-border women traders. Two, facilitate compliance with custom procedures in terms of revenue generation cycle. And three, to facilitate access to markets and financing. So, based on those premises, the report Statistical Service has brought out is a very important survey and outcome they have brought out to tell the whole country that there is something going on which policymakers and others should take a look at. Now, the narrative of you said a group said there is high increase of smuggling. What data is it alluding to? What is it talking about? We are saying that in local producers in Ghana, what are the issues? Get to us. Let's show you the way where to market your product the most. Just like the survey has indicated by the what's the name? Ghana Statistical Service. Export from Ghana. It is we the traders who takes your product out there. But import to Ghana, you know, we have signed a lot of trade agreements within the ECOWAS sub-region. Let our local producers also try to see how they can be competitive enough for us to be able to send their product to the other side. I hope you understand. Let me give you an example. Rice produced in Ghana here now, okay? If you compare our rice to other Africa, especially the ECOWAS sub-region, our rice is the best. But the issue about pricing of the product is one of the major challenges. So why won't the woman wants to go and buy? Though our rice is the best, but can our local people be able to afford the price we are giving to our own people in this country?
So you're saying that the informal traders may prefer to source their rice from another country because it's cheaper. But I think the point is, if they paid the real tax or they paid the tariff, then it wouldn't be as cheap as it is. So the issue is, you are able to sell your rice cheaper than the local producer because they bring it in and avoid the tariff, which is what smuggling is, right?
No. You see, 80% of our cross-border women traders now pass through the main borders, and they pay tariff, they pay duties. So if I go to Aflao, go to Cote d'Ivoire, and go to Elubo, and go to Paga, check the records of revenue generations that are coming from those sectors into the country. Compare it to export that is going to. You will see that revenue is generated far more. All targets that were set in previous years, all those entry points are getting their revenue targets reached. You understand? So it is not about not paying tariffs. It is about paying tariffs, doing the right way. But our local producers, we are not saying they are not doing well. They are doing well, but let them also look at their pricing model. Let me give you another example. Guineas, Malta Guineas. Until September, the price of Malta Guineas, when coming from Nigeria, is far double than that of the price in Ghana is far double than the one coming from Nigeria. Which of the traders or the consumers, why won't they want to go and buy that one?
And the one coming from Nigeria, do they pay? Does it come through the official port?
I am telling you, it comes to the official port.
And with the duty, it's still cheaper than the one made in Ghana.
I'm not saying the duty. There is a difference between duty and there is a difference between domestic taxes.
No, I'm saying that the Malta Guineas from Nigeria that is brought in through the official channel, as you claim, if we add duty to even that container, you are saying that the selling price is still cheaper than the one produced in Ghana?
It's even cheaper than the one produced in Ghana. I'm telling you.
So retailers prefer to bring in the product from Nigeria than to buy from the Ghanaian manufacturer?
Because the Ghanaian manufacturer price is 2 times, even if the person brings it from Nigeria. These are the reality on the ground that we should sit down as a country, sit and find out what the solution is. It's not just about issuing statement and saying, there is smuggling or whatever it is.
I will actually need numbers to believe what you are telling me, because I doubt it that a product from Nigeria which has gone through official channels will still be cheaper than a product produced in Ghana. I find it very hard to believe.
You see, we don't say things just in a vacuum. We have our document. I will want to come to your station and bring you document to show. You understand? We'll bring you valid document to show that 80% or more of our members go through the same ports, go through the same borders. Okay? Even under ETLS. You see, like that is why I'm telling you, we have trade agreements in our sub-region. When you go through ETLS, you have certificate of origin, you know where the product is coming, and you go through the right way. Products cannot be that expensive. This is where our traders are enjoying. That is why they are even going there, because it goes through a certain process. And it's only the issues of non-tariff barriers that we face in the Ghana side are the only challenges our traders. But if they talk about pricing, if they talk about regulations and rules, our women are doing far more better in terms of compliance. So I don't know where this message is coming from.
Okay.
I don't know what data he's also talking about. Look at the statistical service report. Look at where it is coming from. When they were there, we said, no, okay, we want them to actually get these figures right. And truly, bringing 7.4 billion into the economy from just informal small-scale traders, it means there is something that we can get more if we go by the rules,
all right,
the recommendations that the statistical service is bringing out.
Fair enough. I'll speak to statistical service myself. The questions I was putting to you were from the mouth of FABAG. Statistical service has not described you as a smuggler, or has not described your members as smugglers. They did the research that just gave us the figures of what they call informal trade. They did not characterize that as smuggling. It was the FABAG that is characterizing that. So let me speak to statistical service and then see if I can come back to you. So thank you for talking to us. We are trying to get to the bottom of this issue of the increased speed of smuggling of specific products, rice, sugar, cooking oil, and then the smuggling of cocoa outside the country. The High Street Journal did a story today, and I think Francisca, I have the story as well, where they say that Ghana loses $1.1 billion worth of money.
1.28 million euros.
Yes, but there's another story that has this in dollars, where they pick the smuggling of our cocoa. So we lose revenue in two ways. People bring in rice, people bring in sugar, people bring in cooking oil, and don't pay duties. And then they affect local producers and they evade taxes. Then people smuggle cocoa beans outside the country and also deprive the country of revenue to the tune of 1.2 billion. So we're losing both ways because of our porous borders. So let's speak to the team that did the work for the statistical service to even understand the terms they use, because I think that's where it will give the thing context. Professor Dominic Odum is the head of trade statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service. Prof, I want to thank you first for joining us, and also for the report you produced. I think we got it last week, the Ghana Informal Cross-Border Survey, Trade Survey. Good morning and thanks for joining us, Prof.
Good morning, Bernard and Tim.
Wonderful. So what informed this particular study, and will this be the first of its kind?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. So let me first start by saying that I am not professor, I am Mr.
Forgive me, on the phone number sent to me, they are written Prof, so forgive me.
That's fine. Yeah, so the survey, Informal Cross-Border Trade, is something that has been an African problem. So in 2022, the African Union set up a task force to help member states to be able to collect data on informal cross-border trade. So the concept around this is, most of our economies are a bit informal. So there is a lot of movement of goods across our land borders. And so far, countries have not been able to measure, to know the magnitude, such that policies can be enacted to be able to help those who are into this petty trading and informal and cross-border trade.
I see. So, what would you say was the most important thing you found? At least from the top of my head, I saw that for the period, and I think this is Q4 2024, we had a trade deficit informal with Togo and a surplus with Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire. That was what caught my attention. Is it the most important finding? If it is, what does it actually mean?
Yes, so as we are aware, when it comes to trade, the more you're able to export, the better in most cases. So the finding, like you rightly said, we are experiencing surpluses. We are sending more to Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire, and then we are sending less to Togo. That is, we are taking more from Togo. So from the report, it is important that policy begin to look at it, and then we take advantage of areas that we can produce and our immediate neighbors have need for such commodities. So if you look at Togo, I'm not with the report now, but you realize that most of the things that we are actually taking from Togo, we also have some capacity to be able to produce in-house. So these are the areas we expect policymakers, businesses, and even individuals to look at the report, look at the things that we are sending or we are bringing, and then see how best we can improve on the production of such commodities.
The report, from what I see, noted alcoholic beverages being the largest share in Burkina Faso, soft drinks the largest export to Togo, sugar being the principal export to Cote d'Ivoire. And then for import, cooking oil was the main product imported from Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, while cows were the top import from Burkina Faso. So that's the information we put there. My challenge is, what's the difference between informal trade and smuggling? You get me?
Okay.
Is there a way we can distinguish the two?
Okay, so thank you very much for this question. So it helps for us to put the findings in context. Now, so informal cross-border trade, first of all, is not illegal. Now, let me give you an example. If I live on this side of the border, and then if I walk just about 200 meters, there's a market on the other side. As rational as we are all, I would prefer to cross the border and grab some stacks of rice and come back than to trek for about 15 kilometers to a market that is in country. So you realize that these are daily way of life for these people who live around the border. That is one. And then secondly, there are also, in terms of the customs procedures, there are certain commodities that when they don't hit a certain threshold, customs will not really require you to pass a declaration. So for such items, when they are passing, then customs will say, okay, this is below a certain threshold, so just pass. So that is what we at Ghana Statistical Service have tried to measure. So we did this. We first did a profiling, and then we identified 321 crossing points, including both gazetted and ungazetted. So our men were placed at all these points, and then we observed on a daily basis people who are coming in and going out with commodities. Now, anything that customs officially record is not part of this exercise that we did. All we did is any official or any crossing, any commodity that is flowing across our borders, which has not gone through the formal customs system, is what we are reporting on. Now, the aspect of illegality or smuggling. Now, so we were at the borders and recording all commodities that are either coming in or going out. First of all, we are not trained to really know whether a good is a legal good, or we are just picking statistics. So once we have picked this data, then we expect other institutions to also pick the data in detail, because we presented the aggregate. Then if there are any commodities that they see that these are not supposed to cross either way, then they can take it up from there.
But if goods come into the country and is not recorded in customs, whether you call it illegal or not, that's evading tax, is it not? And I mean, because at least my basic understanding is that a product that enters a country must pay duty. So if a product comes into a country and you record it in your observation, but does not go to the customs system, why don't you want to describe it as smuggling?
No, so like I said, for example, let's take the ECOWAS sub-region. In the ECOWAS sub-region, we are trading under a scheme, which is the ETLS, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, which allows certain kind of commodities to move freely, quota-free, duty-free. So, for example, moving, let's say, fresh vegetables from one country to the other, if they meet certain requirements under the ETLS, there is not supposed to be payment of any duties of such. So these are the contexts in which, and again, now, the informal cross-border trade, like I said, one, we need to also see it from the perspective of livelihood. Like from the example I gave you, if I cross to the border and there's a market 100 meters away, and then the market in country is about, let's say, 15 kilometers away, then you would expect these border indigents to just cross, buy a bag of rice, enter, and then they use this. So, and then again, in the customs procedure systems, there is a concept called de minimis. That is, certain commodities, if they don't meet a certain threshold, customs have the prerogative to say, okay, this one is below the threshold that you should pass the declaration. So for that matter, you can bring in or take it out.
I see. So the information you've given must be compared with customs' own data, and then they may be able to determine whether some illegality is taking place. But for you, it's more formality and informality, and we'll keep it at that, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So the ball is in the customs court. Thank you. Are you going to be doing this every quarter, or is it a yearly survey?
Yeah, so this is the first of its kind. What we published is the last quarter of 2024. As we speak, the first quarter of 2025, which is January to March, it's almost ready for publication. So once that is done, we'll give it out to the public. So it's a project that we carried out for 1 year. We started October 2024 and ended in September 2025. But going forward, looking at the findings and how revealing they are, we think that it's something that we should do it on a continuous basis so that policymakers, businesses, individuals can take advantage of the items that we have capacity to produce, and then we can help improve the economy.
Thank you, Dominic Odum, Head of Trade Statistics, Ghana Statistical Service. 21 minutes past 9. We'll take a short break. When we come back, there's more, because some people want to react on the issue of imports. Somebody sent me a very interesting message. Now, he says, Bernard, someone took 600 CDs from me a few years ago and did shopping for me from Nigeria. You will be shocked how cheap things are in that country. So it means that groceries from neighboring countries may be cheaper than they are in Ghana. That may give incentive for people to use informal means of bringing them in. The question is, what are we doing about it? All right, let me wrap up this segment with another contributor. So don't forget, we started by speaking to FABAG, where they claimed that smuggling was on the increase. Then I spoke to a rep of the women informal traders, who said one of the reasons why informal traders prefer to bring in goods from across the country was that you could get a cheaper product, even with duties paid, from Nigeria or wherever, compared to Ghana. He was giving Guinness as an example. Now, I'm going to speak to Dennis Amediame, who's the convener of the Regulatory Affairs Professionals Network, and he also is the Regulatory Affairs Manager of Friesland Campina. They produce peak milk. He's going to react to some of the points being made here. Dennis, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you, Bernard. Good morning.
Do you agree with FABAG that there's an increase in smuggling and that's affecting local producers?
I agree more than one can describe with FABAG, because the issue is even beyond the rice and sugar that we are talking about. It affects almost every category of products. We have milk affected, Guinness, Unilever is struggling. Almost every industry is affected by this canker. The smugglers, as we call them, or those who are patronizing what we call grey market, go out there. And one thing that is missing in the whole discussion is that reference is being made to Togo, that the products are coming from Togo. Based on the research work that we did, the investigation that we did, actually the products are not actually coming from Togo. Togo is just being used as an entry point to Ghana. Most of the products are actually coming from Nigeria. And this is actually motivated by the currency situation. So that you realize that when the Ghana currency started depreciating some few months ago, most of the people who were involved in this, in a way, stopped. But immediately the currency started improving again, they've gone back to the business. So the products are actually coming from Nigeria. But you see, the other gentleman...
Sorry, let me understand this. If the Ghana currency does well, as in you need fewer cities to buy the dollar, it incentivizes smugglers? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because what it means now is that they will take less money to get more dollars, and then when they go to Nigeria, they will make more money in Naira.
So a stronger Ghana cedi incentivizes smugglers?
Yes, it's incentivizes.
Wow.
Yes.
And you're saying that Togo is just the entry point, but the source is... Now, are these products made in Nigeria or imported into Nigeria?
Majority of them actually manufactured by our sister companies in those countries.
So how come they are able to get it cheaper in Nigeria than you guys are able to produce it in Ghana?
Okay, so the unit cost of production in Ghana is very high. Compared to this country. So you see, this country, let me use that as an example, they have the numbers in terms of population. That is why we have this situation where people complain about China, people complain about India, people complain about Nigeria. They have the numbers. And because they have the numbers, when it comes to production cost, it is lower for them because you are being a huge number compared to Ghana, the volume you are doing. But the number you need to employ. So when I'm doing production in Nigeria, the unit cost of my production in Nigeria definitely will be cheaper than the production in Ghana.
Okay,
in
but
addition,
go ahead.
In addition, me as a manufacturer in Ghana, I am not only producing. I must be involved in the transportation. I must do marketing. I must do advertisement. The one involved in the illicit power importation of this product is riding on the back of what I am doing to promote the product, to sell his product. So that cost doesn't go to him. He's not going to add that cost to the cost of the product.
So you pay electricity and water in Ghana, and then you market the product, and then because people have demand for the product, they don't differentiate between the imported milk from the locally produced milk, and therefore you lose and they win.
Yes.
The smuggler.
I've even had a situation where my own distributor stocked the product from Nigeria.
Your own distributor stocked a product from Nigeria?
Yes, a similar product from Nigeria. So I had to now go to and say, listen, this product you are stocking is not even registered in Ghana to be sold in Ghana. And I cannot guarantee the safety and quality because I don't know the supply chain channel that you use to import this product. And they showed me where they got it. So I got the FDA to go and arrest the people. So every company is struggling when it comes to this.
You are saying all the manufacturing companies are... Okay, by what factor is the Nigeria version cheaper? So if you give me a tin of milk, by what factor will the Nigeria smuggled version be cheaper than the Ghanaian made version?
So I can say, let's assume that the cost of the milk produced in Ghana is, let's say, 10 cedis. The Nigeria may be like 7 cedis or 6 cedis.
Okay, now if they were paying duties on the 7, okay, are you calculating the 7 on the basis of duty or the cost of Nigeria? Because we are talking smuggling, right? So if the smuggling were nabbed and they pay the duty on the container, would the price get to your 10?
It will be at 10 because I have imported products from Nigeria before because it's my sister company. I'm in charge of Nigeria too. When you do all the computation, the payment that you need to do, the price is the same as even importing from Holland. So it will be at the 10. But when I bring it through the channel where they use share, so they bring it in the evening and they don't pay the necessary duty they need to pay, you will get it far cheaper. And then the second part of it, but let me draw attention to it, is that usually they go for products that are nearing expiry. That's our major concern. So when the product is nearing expiry, most companies will reduce their pricing. So if the normal price of my milk is, let's say, 10 cedis, when it's nearing expiry, I may bring it down to 5 cedis. or 6 because I want to, sell it off. They went, and we are beginning to see situation where some products they are changing the expiry date. So they go buy it at a cheaper price, bring it to this country, and then change the expiry date and sell.
So,
some of the things that we have even raised with FDA.
okay, before we get to how the smuggling happens, I spoke to Oscar Akabanoviho, who says they cross-border informal traders do not evade tax, and yet he can tell me on authority that they are able to sell cheaper than you guys who produce in Ghana, and that you guys, your pricing is not good, which is why the women prefer to bring from Nigeria. So he says the fact that they are informal does not mean they are tax evaders. That was his counter when I interviewed him.
Yes. So majority of them don't pay tax, which we know for a fact, and we are working on that because we want to have a meeting with Customs Division, GSA, and FDA on this thing. Those who pay the tax also do not pay the other costs that come with it. They are riding at the back of the investment being made by the local manufacturer or a local authorized importer to sell their products. And then I said some picture earlier, to the extent that some companies that have marketing authorization, they really stop the importation. We see popular milk all over the place. Now the people who have the authorization seem not to be bringing the product anymore because the illicit importation is very high that they cannot even meet it.
All
That's
right.
what happened.
How does the smuggling take place, and whose connivance or whose dereliction allows it to happen? You said it happens at night. Are you able to describe it better for us? Is it the customs people who are sleeping? Is it the immigration guys? Is it national security? Is it the police? Whose dereliction is leading to this thriving smuggling industry?
All right. So the market women go out there to Nigeria, most of them, buy products that are nearing expiry, like I said earlier. When they bring it, of course, they know people who are the ports, who are their partners, okay, that they will, as we say, graze their palm and will know to go so. So they watch out for those people, and then they pass through the Shia border and the Niger border to bring the goods into Ghana. And then, so what they do is that because they don't come to sell, they have the people in the market who are they've already given them the money to them to make the order. So when they come, they just supply directly to those. So they don't have warehouse where they are keeping it for you to even go and say, okay, this is a stock, and then when they see it, all this. No, they go around taking orders from the people in the market, and then go to Nigeria, go and buy, and then bring and deliver to them. That's how they operate. So custom plays a critical role in this. FDA plays a critical role in this. At a point, I even had to write to FDA and tell FDA that FDA, I do not intend to import any product through the Togo border. So should we find any product coming from the other entry points branded as pig, please seize it. So FDA, but the point that because they are doing 24 hours, it becomes difficult for them to be able to stop this.
You mentioned the Shia border and the Niger border. I'm looking at the map supplied by Statistical Service. I can't find the two. So where is this Shia border and where is this Niger border?
So Shia border is after who? They share, Niger shares with Parliament. Niger and shares with Parliament.
So the Niger
Togo Parliament.
So Togo Parliament and then who in Ghana?
No, Togo Parliament and Niger in Ghana. Niger is in Ghana.
Niger is in Ghana.
So I know that
Okay. I see it now. I see it now. So this is Shia and Niger. So it's the same area actually.
Yes.
So you usually, if you look at the borders we have the Aflao Main, and then we have the Akanu border, and then we have a couple of outposts, Agohome outpost, and then you have Shia and Niger, which are around the Afegame area, a bit high. Good. So if you know that these are the two notorious borders, how can't the government clamp on it? Because you are telling me that there are two notorious borders for smuggling, and you are saying it live on radio, and yet the government doesn't seem to be able to solve it.
Well, we keep reaching out to the government, and that's even next week we have a meeting scheduled where we're going to discuss this with the Customs Division. We want to form a task force. Industry is ready to support for a task force to help nip this in there, but because it becomes a whole big issue for us to handle. Because this is more just like the Galamsey issue we are fighting. Industries are actually struggling. If I tell you the number of products that we have to dispose of all the time because we produce and cannot sell because of the Nigerian product that is in Ghana, you'll be surprised. Industry is struggling. The volume is huge.
But isn't the customs and GRA aware and worried? Because obviously they are losing revenue, aren't they?
Yes, that is why we want to have a discussion with them because they need to look at it very well.
Well, good luck to you in your efforts. Thank you
very much.
for speaking to us. We've been speaking to Dennis Amejame, who is a manufacturer, and he is part of the is the national coordinator of what is called is the convener of the Regulatory Affairs Professionals Network. So, Kakra, let's read some comments. This looks like we know the problem, but we are not willing to solve it.
Exactly.
What a
There
strange
appears to
situation.
be inertia on the part of law enforcement, local authorities. It's just frustrating listening to him.
Yeah.
Doing business in Ghana can be very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, this is Kojo in East Lake on Hills. He says, "Good morning, Bernard. I'm a business owner for the past 15 years in Ghana. If we want to have an honest discussion about cost of doing business in Ghana, many businesses will fold up. My business is dwindling because I've decided not to bypass electricity or do bypass of electricity as many others are doing. Our cost of power will eventually cripple the business." Delali says, "Good morning, Bernard. Please, what the man or the FABAG president is saying can be true. I'm in one of the secondary schools, and the rice that a supplier bought to our school, everything is written in French language."
Wow.
Good morning, Bernard. Paga border is not isolated from this problem. Okay, every day people are bringing in rice from Burkina. BB in North Kaneshi says, "If it is true that even with taxes and levies, the foreign products are cheaper, why are they not paying the taxes and smuggling like there's no tomorrow?" Smuggling in Ghana is really terrible. Bernard, I disagree with the man who just spoke against smuggling. What they do is, if they are bringing 5 containers, they pay duty on only 2. And so when they get in, they're able to average, which makes the products cheaper.
That makes sense. So they pay
They
for the couple,
yeah.
and then they get more. Okay.
Bernard, what the man is saying is true. Products from outside are mostly cheaper than the locally produced products.
This is a big issue, eh?
Yes, and cost of production, the build-up, Bernard.
Yeah.
Good morning, Bernard. I think the story about smuggling is so true. As someone who works in that industry, there's a lot of rice and sugar smuggling from Togo. It's alarming because the local industries are not able to compete, and it's causing a lot of job losses. Ken in Spintex sent that. Good morning, Bernard and team.
Morning.
I'm Albert from Tema. The textile industry is at the mercy of smuggling. Production from the few textile companies left in Ghana keeps reducing year in, year out. Our employment is being threatened, so we may rise again to protect our jobs in this country. Hashtag last chance for democracy in Ghana. Hi, Bernard and team. I'm alarmed by the rampant smuggling in Aflao. Goods are being smuggled in large quantities every evening, often under the watchful eyes of the customs officials. You know, you asked that question. This is happening just a few meters from the customs bungalow. It appears bribery and greed are driving this menace. Urgent action is needed. I'll send you pictures soon. And Nuti Fafa from Aflao sent that one. Here's another. Good morning, Bernard. Kulungugu and Pulimakom in the Upper East region are the biggest borders for the smuggling business.
Charlie.
You can contact me for more information. Bernard, these so-called smuggled oil, flour, and sugar are there in our schools.
Hey.
Make your checks from any SHS and you will see flour with Arabic details. Bernard and team, this is a very interesting discussion. People will only smuggle if there's enough arbitrage for the trader. The government and the GRA must set up and review the tariffs and taxes to eliminate the arbitrage. Bernard, we are rational economic beings. We take decisions in our economic interest. 1, If Malta Guinness is the cheaper after entering through the right channels, will you not buy it? 2, most people, including myself, order car spare parts from Nigeria legally, and it's super cheaper than Abusiokai. 3, DSTV, another example. We can go on and on and on. And Kwesi Aqua from Sakumono sent that one. Good morning, Bernard and team. Please be reminded that Nigeria has free port and therefore it translates into goods and
I'm not sure if this is
services.
correct. I don't think this is correct.
Okay.
They are talking about Nigerian manufactured goods. So
Okay.
this gentleman is talking about Friesland Peak. They have a factory in Nigeria, they have a factory in Ghana. So, and I'm not sure if Nigeria has a so-called free port.
Akosha Mboteman says, good morning, team CBS. Of a truth, things are way cheaper in Nigeria than in Ghana. I have been to Nigeria severally. With even 300 Ghana cedis, you will buy and buy and buy and may still have some
Let's not
change.
forget that because Nigeria has a larger market, they are able to produce at economies of scale. For
Yeah.
you produce for more people, it gets cheaper. That doesn't mean we should have economic saboteurs bringing goods in without duties. The reason countries put in duties is to protect their local industry, because you may buy something cheap, but your relatives don't have work to do. So we need to think about our country. There's too many people who think self-interest, and it destroys the country.
But people will do what they want if there's no enforcement, if there are no consequences. Here's another message, Bernard.
It's funny.
Even goat is cheaper in Togo than Ghana.
Hey, even goat is cheaper in Togo than Ghana.
I tried getting an engine for my car here and the price was 35,000 cedis, but in Nigeria it cost me the equivalent of 20,000 cedis for both engine and gearbox.
Wow.
Let's think of how we will reduce cost of production here. Otherwise, we should forget the fight against smuggling. Mauli sent that.
Big topic. We'll be back with more City Breakfast Show live on 97.3 City FM, discussing the ills of smuggling and its effect on local productions.